Hey everyone, Rocco here, and do I have a treat for you? I'm here to present this month's 5-minute lesson, which you'll notice is a bit longer than 5 minutes. In this video brought to you by Nick Bolchaz, based out of Chicago, you'll get an introduction to two classic Irish instruments, both the bodhran and bones. So without further ado, here is this month's extended 5-minute lesson. I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, and for my Gaelic speaking friends, Giadí. Today we're going to learn about bodhran and bones. My name's Nick, and I'm a percussion and drum set teacher at the Music Connection in Orland Park, Illinois. I've been playing drums and percussion for most of my life, and I'm excited to share with you today two of my favorite instruments, both from Ireland. So the first instrument is known as the bodhran. The bodhran is an Irish frame drum. A frame drum is any type of drum with a head stretched across a frame, and that the head is wider than the frame is deep. Okay, so a bodhran is traditionally made of sheepskin or horse skin on the head, and then cedar, rosewood, different types of wood, especially ones indigenous to Ireland. Originally, the bodhran was actually used as a house tool. It was used to carry and sift wheat, carry things from out in the farmlands back into the house. It wasn't until a little bit later that people figured out that this skin stretched over a wooden frame could kind of be hit and struck and turned into an instrument. It wasn't until the 1950s and 60s that we really started seeing the bodhran pop up in the mainstream. There was some popularity in the 19th century, but even more so in the mid-20th century. Another characteristic of the bodhran is whether or not it has crossbars in the middle, or whether it's tuned with pegs, tuned with keys, or not tuned at all. My drum is tuned with pegs back here. This helps me control, whether I want to pitch up, whether I want to pitch down. Along with the bodhran, today I want to talk about bones. Bones are a really fun instrument. They're actually made of bone. They can also be made of wood and plastic. The bones are an ancient instrument. They trace themselves all the way back to ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, civilizations like that. You can find them in pictures and paintings, not pictures, painting pictures. Like I said before, bones are often made of animal bone. Typically it has to come from a big bone from a cow or a horse, something really heavy and sturdy. These bones are boiled, cooked in an oven, left outside to dry, and finally whittled down to their final shape. As you can see, the final product looks like this, with a slight curve, which will come into play later. I want to stress before we get into learning the instruments, when you're learning a new instrument, you need to do a little more than just learning the physical techniques involved in playing. You also need to learn the language of the music that you're playing in. So the way that we do this is we look for authentic or expert sources to rely on. For musicians, that typically means albums, audio recordings, YouTube videos, online lessons, in-person lessons, anything where you're going to get a really excellent educational experience. So you're trying to learn the language of the bodhran and the bones, not just how to play them. So now let's talk about positioning. When we're holding the bodhran, we want to make sure that our lap is flat and our legs are horizontal. We want to make sure that the bodhran is tucked in nice and sturdy here, kind of under the armpit and to the side. I should say that if you're a right-handed player, the drum is going to sit on your left leg, and then it's just everything from here on out is opposite for lefties. We don't want it to wiggle a lot, so make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. So now we take our left hand, and we're going to put that flat on the inside of the bodhran's head. The hand on the inside of the head helps to mute the pitch. It also helps to bend the pitches a little bit when we need to, and it helps give us a little more sturdiness. The first thing we want to do before we pick up the tipper is we just want to shake our hand, okay? Act like you've got water or oil or something nasty on it. You're just shaking it off nice and relaxed. We don't want to go too hard, okay? But we want to make sure that our wrist is nice and relaxed. Okay, now after you get nice and relaxed here, we want to face inside of our chest in the center, and then do the same motion, just up and down. Nice and relaxed, not going too hard. Now that we've done that for a minute and we're nice and warmed up, we're gonna take that same motion and we're gonna just isolate it slow. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, great. Now, we're gonna take this motion that we have inside of our chest, down and up, and we're gonna put it on the drum. We're gonna hit the drum. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, great. Once you feel good about that, now it's time to pick up the tipper. So a tipper is just a drumstick for the bodhran. Tippers come in many different shapes and sizes, depending on the style of music that you're playing, where you're playing it at, maybe even who you're playing with or what kind of instrument you're playing. There's gonna be a tipper out there just for you. I personally like to use the kind of tipper that's got more of these dowel rods inside of it. So when you pick up the tipper, you want to think of it like you're holding a pencil, okay? Just like this, kind of in between your first and middle fingers, thumb on the other side, okay? Now, we're gonna take the tipper, relax the hand, point it directly down to the ground. Now, point it at the center of your chest, like what we were doing before, okay? Now, we can do that same down and up motion, down, up, down, up, down, up. And we wanna put that on the drum. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now, if you want to practice just these motions by themselves, you can go just downstrokes. Do 4 at a time, 8 at a time, 600, 2 billion, whatever you want. And then we go up. Like any good percussionist, you want to make sure that both of these strokes sound pretty much the same, okay? You don't want to have your upstroke be too much weaker than your downstroke or vice versa, okay? So we're really going for identical sounds, down, up. Then start combining them, down and up. You can also go down, down, up, up. And if you're a drummer and you already know some of your rudiments, you can take things like paradiddles and play those. Down, up, down, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, up. Remember, every time we're hitting the drum, we're trying to get a really even and consistent sound. Now, I want to show you how to play the bones, okay? So the bones, also known as the rhythm bones sometimes, depending on where you're at. The bones are curved. We're gonna want this curve facing away from each other, okay? So the first bone we're gonna have the curve facing in towards us, and we're gonna hold it between our thumb and our first finger kind of high up, okay? Now we wanna bring our middle finger, pull it into the side. This bone is totally stationary all the time. We want it nice and firm. We're not squeezing too hard, but we're still nice and firm here, so it's not gonna move. The second bone, facing the opposite direction from it, is gonna go in between our ring finger and our middle finger, okay? Then our ring finger and our pinky come around the side of the bone, and it just kind of dangles there, okay? Now, the bones are interesting in that a lot of the sounds that are made are almost reactionary, okay? So we're first gonna make sure that we're making the right sound on purpose. So we're gonna go with kind of the outstroke, okay? So what we're gonna do is similar to the bodhran where we're moving like this, we're gonna throw the first note out. Kind of like we're casting a reel, a fishing reel. Like that. Just throw it out. The goal is just get one solid sound. I would go slow, and as you're doing it, think about where your fingers are at on the bones. Do I need to squeeze harder? Do I need to squeeze less? Just one at a time. Now, if this is brand new for you, you're gonna notice almost immediately this getting sore. That's okay. If it starts to hurt, take a break, step away. 5 minutes one day, 6 minutes the next. Keep practicing every day and you'll build up that endurance that you need. But if at first it hurts, stop. Don't push yourself too hard. If you start feeling any pain in your elbow, especially your wrist, just take it easy. Now, we've perfected our outstrokes. So now we want to come in. What's funny about the in stroke is it's not always the most in control. We want to try and get two sounds. The unique sound of the bones is kind of the rolling triplet. So in order to get this, we're going to combine the out and the back strokes into a kind of a rolling motion like this. Okay, now, as we put a little more energy into it and a little more speed, we're gonna start getting that third note in there. Now, as you can see, my sound is kind of lumpy. That's really common when we first start off. So what we wanna do is we wanna keep practicing that motion and refine it until we get that smooth sound of triplets. So now we can combine those different kinds of strokes and that rolling triplet sound and start getting some musical phrases. Once you figured it out in your right hand, or your left hand, whichever one you decided to start with, you can move it over to your other hand, your non-dominant hand. This is going to be the same exact approach. So, like I said before, a really important part of learning these instruments is learning the language behind the music. I want to show you just a few albums that I really love and that I learned to play the bones and the bodhran along with. Remember, when you're listening to this music, take in the different characteristics, the stuff that makes it unique, the stuff that you really like, and the musical phrases and language that is used by the instrumentalist. Thanks for tuning in today and checking out this video. I'm really happy to share with you these instruments. I think they're really neat and they're a ton of fun to play. This video is by no means your last and ultimate resource. I want to encourage you guys to go out and look at other resources, videos, recordings, all that stuff I was talking about earlier. If you want to truly learn how to play these instruments and develop a passion for playing them, you want to invest yourself and learn all there is to learn about the instruments and the music that they play. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and have a great day.